Hello, this is Outlook 2020. Romain Bochet, Global CIO for Equities, joins me now. Welcome to you, Romain. First of all, how do you think equities are going to fare in the coming year?
We are cautiously optimistic because if in 2019 we have been able to avoid an earnings recession, for 2020 we are expecting a mild but real recovery.
Well, let's go into a little bit more detail on that because we've got a chart here. This is the earnings growth estimates and quite a different picture there. Talk me through it.
2018 is slightly deceptive because you cannot compare 2018 with other years. In 2018, you were enjoying, in particular in the US, a huge fiscal support with much lower corporate income tax rate. Whereas when you are comparing 2019 and 2020, you are just reflecting what is an economic cycle, so a soft landing in 2019, then a recovery in 2020.
A soft landing and a recovery, but not for all parts of the economy, because there is quite a divergence going on. If we have a quick look here, this is manufacturing and consumer confidence. That is quite a startling divergence since the end of last year.
Yes, don't get me wrong. When I'm saying that we have avoided a recession per se, we have not avoided an industrial recession. We are at the heart of this industrial recession, plateauing now and expecting a modest rebound in months to come.
But you expect consumers to be able to sustain the rest of the economy as we go through?
Yes, the US consumer and the China consumer, but more generally speaking, across the globe, the consumer did very well and is still doing pretty well, thanks to a mix of fiscal and monetary policy.
What about the risk factors? If we look at a country like China, huge amounts of debt have been built up there, particularly in the property sector. Does that worry you?
Yes, it does worry us because China is a time bomb somewhat, but it's difficult to know when it will explode. The fact is that yes, in 2008, they avoided the great financial crisis per se because at that time, their debt to GDP was in the region of 140%. Now, 10 years later, we can say that this amount of debt has more than doubled, when elsewhere, this amount of debt was pretty stable.
Of course, the problem with a country like China, when it's racked up huge amounts of debt, is that it does somewhat tie the hands of monetary policy, and that's something we're seeing across the board. Has monetary policy run its course?
They have been already pretty creative over the last decade. So we are not expecting much more from them, except to maintain interest rates where they are, i.e. very close to zero. And it should be on us to convert an excessive amount of debt worldwide into something remaining sustainable.
So where will the help come from instead?
So the help will much more come from the fiscal policy. So now it's mostly fiscal.
So attention now on fiscal policy for 2020. Thank you very much indeed, Romain Bochet, and thank you very much for watching this Outlook 2020. Goodbye.